In any journey, the first step is the most important. Anyone will tell you that. And Metanoia, your first-step online rehab program that builds resilience from addiction, is the best step in the right direction. For you, it can be the only step you need. I want to emphasize that for you, it can be the only step that you need. We believe that going to a rehabilitation center for a 30-day, 3 months or 6 months program should be the second, the third, the fourth, or the fifth step. And from our experience, when you make the fourth step the first step, it becomes overwhelming and disempowering. And that is the main reason why rehab centers are not as successful as they can and they should be. In my conversations with pastors, social workers, school principals, parents, young people, rehab centers, police officers, lawyers, and few judges, I realize that we have a shared burden. We want to see lives change and our homes and society at large to be a nurturing environment. Think about it. Even those who get admitted to a rehab program like yourself, they want to see change but seem to be helpless. So we all want the same outcome because we have the same goal. And it seems that we are fighting a losing battle when it comes to substance addiction. I believe that we should not give up, and neither should we give in to the mindset that says nothing will ever change. We have to keep learning and grow in understanding different approaches to more effective ways until we find the right way. And I must admit right at the outset that a multifaceted, synergistic, combined effort will yield greater results than a one-sided approach trying to prove that it is the most effective. In the same breath, I am hoping that every magistrate, judge, rehab center, and person struggling with addiction would use this program and integrate it in their overall approach. We must work together in collaboration, not competition. A person is a composite being. You are a composite being. Let me explain. Psychologists will emphasize that you are an emotional being. Judges may say you are a juristic person. A health profession may tell you you are a physical being. Teachers may tell us that we are intellectual beings. Your spouse may tell you that you are a relational being. Your spiritual mentor may tell you that you are a spiritual being. The anthropologist may highlight that we are indeed social beings. Now, each person is actually correct in highlighting the area that they emphasize. But it is just a part of the whole about us, because we are more. We are composite beings. Let me explain. We are not just spiritual, intellectual, social, relational, emotional, and physical beings. No, we are each of that, and also we are all of that and more. There is an overarching, all-encompassing description of who you are, an undeniable truth about yourself that is universal. This is your identity, and linked with that identity is your destiny and purpose. Your identity is the basis and justification for your destiny. Let me share an example. If an effort to rehabilitate a person is focused on the physical or spiritual, we should not undermine it, for the simple reason that we are composite beings. And just as we cannot concentrate on an exam, which is an intellectual requirement, because we are sick, which is a physical condition, an improvement in one area can positively affect the other areas of our lives. I find that when I am physically fit, I can think better and make better decisions. Why? Because I am a composite being, and you too are a composite being. The key to open the door of freedom and recovery can be found in one area, and its positive effect can be felt in the other areas of our lives. This has been our experience from generation to generation. That is why we do not rule out nor downplay the interventions of rehab centers, of churches, other religious institutions, government, or even the courts, because we know that a combined effort would be more effective. This program, Metanoia, can be used as a first-step program in the privacy of a person's personal space, or it can be used as a critical component in the overall program of an in-house rehabilitation center. To that end, I pray for the success of every rehab center and every single initiative to help people break free from the power of drugs and other substances. There should never be competition between rehab centers and different programs to see who is more successful than the others. You might be going through this program in the privacy of your home or in a rehab center. You may be the one going through this program as part of a magistrate's final judgment or ruling. Wherever you are, it doesn't really matter how you came to this point. We are just glad that you are here. We believe that you will experience a significant mindset shift which will lead to new desires and new behaviors through this program. Now let me get personal for a moment. We've been blaming the person struggling with addiction for their relapse or even absconding from rehab centers. Just like how teachers blame students and parents blame children for their poor development and performance and progress, we have shamelessly, I say we because I am included, we have shamelessly shifted the blame for the low success rate solely onto the other person. In this case, the person imprisoned by his or her habit or addiction. Some people might say that that is exactly where the blame should be, but we don't agree. We think differently. We believe that in good conscience, if we accept some responsibility for a person's success, then it is ethically required that we should also accept partial responsibility for someone's failure, especially if they were in our direct area of influence and jurisdiction. Absolving ourselves of any responsibility prevents us from seeking ways to improve and become better facilitators of transformation of people's lives. Our research has shown that in many places, an estimated 43% of all people who go through drug rehab successfully complete their treatment programs. Now keep that in mind. While another 16% are transferred to other rehab centers for additional treatment. But 85% of the individuals relapse within a year of treatment, according to the National Institute on Drug Abuse. Listen carefully. An integrated approach with metanoia can only improve the success rate of any intervention. I've had my own addiction, like everyone else. Everyone is addicted to something. Recently, at a funeral, I heard a pastor say that we should be addicted to Jesus. My addiction has not been to drugs or alcohol, and if I was addicted to Jesus, I can honestly say that I relapsed many times. Now you can interpret that the way you want to interpret it. I lived my whole life trying to change people because I believed that changing people was my calling in life. A month before my 47th birthday, I realized that trying to change people is a futile and a fruitless exercise. You cannot change anyone if they don't want to be changed, no matter how hard you try, and that is a reality that many don't want to face. Let me explain. There is a difference between trying to change people and helping people to change. When you try to change people, you use persuasive arguments, you quote statistics and the outcomes of research, you use relevant illustrations, you formulate coherent discourses, you play with their emotions, and you share compelling evidence to convince. You present all of this as charismatically as you can and hope it will be enough to change the people you speak to. In essence, you are just a presenter. And I have been a presenter most of my life. And I must add, without any shyness, that I was an amazing presenter. People clapped for me. They raised their glasses and applauded my excellent presentations. Even as a preacher, I was a charismatic preacher and presenter. But as much as I like the applause, the truth is that people don't usually change by chanting slogans, by repeating mantras, or memorizing quotations. Motivational talks, sermons, and group discussions are just starting points where people can be inspired to choose a particular direction that they want their lives to gravitate to. But if that is all we have, with an occasional visit by a social worker, police, religious worker, or medical practitioner, and if we rely solely on that without an actual process, then our lives will just be a series of starting points. Without actually taking the next step in your journey towards your destiny and destination. When I transitioned in my approach from making points to involving people in the process, I began to see real change. Presenters impress you with their content and their delivery. They think for you. They find the recipe, they buy the ingredients, they follow the instructions, and they bake the cake. Finally, after waiting a while, they open the oven, take out the fully baked cake, and before they present it to you, they choose different colors to ice the cake so that it looks attractive and appealing and irresistible. I have been giving people the cake or generous pieces of it, and they loved it, but I was not effective. That's a kind way of saying that I was wrong. If you want people to take ownership for their lives and the quality of it, if you want people to take proactive steps to improve their lives and break free from addictions, then you must give them the recipe and not the cake. Involve them in the process. And before you give anything to them, you must help them to want it, to desire it. The old saying rings true. When the student is ready, the teacher will appear. One is external, the other is internal. One is extrinsic motivation, the other is intrinsic motivation. Let me tell you, external motivation is temporary. It lasts for a short period of time and then a relapse occurs. Now you understand why relapse is so common. We should not be surprised because that is the nature of external motivation. The ultimate form of intrinsic motivation is when a habit, a lifestyle, or mindset becomes part of your identity. Now listen, it's one thing to say, I'm the type of person who wants this. It's something very different to say, I am the type of person who is this. While extrinsic motivation is helpful in certain situations, it may eventually lead to burnout, to relapse, or lose its effectiveness over time. Any educated person will agree that intrinsic motivation is more powerful, is long-term, and should be the modus operandi if we ever hope to have real change that lasts over a lifetime. Metanoia, your first-step online rehab program that builds resilience from addiction, is the intelligent first step that we believe should be the proactive step taken, not by a person struggling with an addiction alone, but with the person. This is an engagement that can be pivotal in the rehab center, or in your own home, or in your own private space. That is why it is not just a program designed with a person struggling with addiction, but it is a collaborative program crafted with the intention that it should be embraced by at least two people. Now listen, two people. one of whom should be the person struggling with the addiction, and the other person should be a trusted family member, a friend, or caregiver at a rehab center. You only need one person to believe in you besides yourself. Not a group, not a crowd, not an army, but just one person to walk with you, a trusted family member or friend. In case you have questions about who I am, let me be the one to tell you who I am. My name is Paul Charles. In October 2023, at the International Duty of Care Awards in Dubai, I was given the Global Investor in People Award by ASIC UK, which is the accreditation service of international schools, colleges, and universities. I have been a pastor for almost 2 decades, and I can tell you that prayer works to a point. If you hear me speak about God, don't be surprised. I can tell you that prayer works, but to a point. I am not undermining the power of prayer. No. If anything, I pray every day and a few times during the day because I believe in prayer. But prayer without an intentional process is ineffective, especially in a rehabilitation journey. I believe that our actions must be aligned with our prayers. And that is how our prayers are answered. In other words, we must have what I call actionable steps. The spiritual component is important, very important, but it must be part of a holistic approach. Besides having a bachelor's degree in theology, I completed the Harvard certificate course, Family Engagement in Education, in 2019. I know the power of involving someone in your journey towards excellence and lasting change. In the same year, I completed my master's degree in education, and in 2022, I successfully presented my thesis for my Doctor of Psychology degree entitled An Extrapolation of the Recovery Model and Cognitive Behavioral Therapy, CBT, for Developing Resilience. Besides being a qualified business rescue practitioner and co-founder of Resilience Coaching International, I am also a certified ethics officer. You might be wondering, why am I giving you all this background? And even if you did not wonder about that, let me share the reason why. I am the lead author of this program, Metanoia, your First-step Online Rehab Program that builds resilience from addiction. I want you to attach a face and a name to the program. And because I want you to have confidence in the program, I think that it is important for you to know a little about the background of the person who designed it. I want to thank you for registering for this certificate program. Yes, you will receive a certificate at the end. I will be your lead facilitator through every session. I will tell you more about the certificate and its value in one of the sessions that follow. Before you press the next button at the end of this session, I want to encourage you to re-watch this video and complete the reinforcement assessment that follows with your MC, Metanoia Coach, or MG Metanoia Guide. Have you been wondering why this program is called Metanoia? Let me explain. Metanoia is a Greek term that is mostly used by theologians. Metanoia denotes a change of mind, a reorientation, a fundamental transformation of outlook of man's vision of the world, of himself, and of God as well. Metanoia means a transformative change of mind and of heart, of intention and of action. Remember, we are composite beings. I already explained that and what it means in the beginning. There is a strong relationship between our mind, between our body, and our actions. Metanoia is a state of mind when a person stops or slows down in their current path long enough and makes a U-turn that significantly changes their direction, changes their goals, their behaviors, their habits, and their lives. Metanoia is very important to develop resilience. Now, what is resilience? Resilience is the ability to bounce back. Resilience is the capacity to adapt or recover quickly from difficulties, including addictions. Resilience is the ability of a substance or object or a person to adapt and spring back into shape and resume a normal life again. And that's what you want, and that's what we want for you. It is my hope and prayer that you will truly experience metanoia and be resilient. In this program, you will learn how. I do not know you by name, but let me tell you that when I took time and invested money to develop this program with our partners, I did it with a strong belief. I believe that you can change because you want to change and you will change. And this first step may be the most important first step in your recovery from addiction and rediscovery of the person you were meant to be by God, who created you in His image. Let me share a personal experience before we end this session. Some people believe that drugs, alcohol, and other self-destructive behaviors have such an enormous power, and no matter how much we try, people who are chained by addictive behaviors will never change. I say some people because it does not include me. I believe that deep down, everyone wants to improve. Everyone wants to progress. Everyone wants to be better and live out the plan God has for them. We may not know how. Some people don't have the tools to change. And some people need to rekindle the belief of the real possibility and hope that they can indeed change. I believe that. I believe that anyone and everyone can change. And I believe it so much that I acted on my belief and created this program, Metanoia. Yes, I believe in you. And I believe in the power of this program. Even if your friends and your family have given up on you, I created this program because I still believe. And if you, with all your heart and with all your mind, walk with me and think with me through this program, we both will achieve a good outcome. There is a reason why I am personally facilitating this program. I could have asked a professional speaker to present this program, but I didn't choose that option because for me, this is personal. I don't know if you remember what a three-legged race is. You can find out if you don't know. Like in a three-legged race, I am intentionally and figuratively using this program, Metanoia, as a piece of string to tie your left foot with my right foot so that in the end, we end up walking with 3 legs instead of 4 independent legs. And in your mind, think with me, as I put my arm over your shoulder and you in turn put your arm over my shoulder, we can run this race together and finish the journey together. In the end, your victory becomes my victory and my victory becomes your victory. I only win if you win, and we win together. We overcome together and we celebrate together. I told you what I believe, and now here's why I believe what I believe. I believe because even though my parents were alcoholics and I was born in poverty, I am who I am today because someone believed that I could change. And no power was strong enough to prevent me from becoming the person God wanted me to be. I was born in Phrases, just outside Tongaat in KZN, KwaZulu-Natal, in South Africa, without hope. I attended 13 schools in 12 years. I picked from rubbish bins to eat. I slept in bus stations, in train stations. I lived in Valley View Place of Safety and Detention. I lived in Lake Haven Children's Home. I lived in Youth Center in Chatsworth. And I lived in the homes of many people. strangers and known people. Now you can imagine the kind of life I lived with that background and the challenges I had to overcome. You don't live like that without being influenced by the forces around you, no. But God had other plans. My life changed when one woman, I call her Auntie Rukmani, she believed that I was born to be more than my past, more than what people thought of me, more than my mistakes, more than my weaknesses, and more than the labels that people stuck on me. One woman whom I love with all my heart for that part of my life believed, and I am the result of her belief today. I am grateful to God for her. She was more than a mother to me. I am telling you about her because I believe in the power of one person believing for the other person when the other person cannot believe for themselves. And I am a living example of that which I just told you. Through this program, Metanoia, I don't want you to come to me. I am coming to you and want to walk with you from where you are to where you can be. You and I are at the starting point in this first session. Let's begin our journey with trust and with faith. Let's trust the process and have faith in its power. Each session will be like a piece of a puzzle. We may not appreciate it on its own, and sometimes it might not make sense on its own, even at the beginning. But if you continue collecting the pieces from one session to the other session, and as you get the bigger picture, you will see how beautifully each piece fit together, and you will be glad you did. It will not be easy. It will not be painless. But in the end, it will be worth it. Welcome once again, and thank you for allowing me to walk with you and coach you in your journey towards a better, resilient you. In the next session, we will talk about the importance of having a coach, and you will understand why one of the unique features of Metanoia is that it is a journey with a trusted family member or friend whom we call the MC, Metanoia Coach. Now this MC or Metanoia Coach will be at your side as your guide each step of the way. This program is a hybrid program. It is an online program, yes, but facilitated by the MC, Metanoia Coach. We have designed Metanoia for optimum results through MCs who add the relational and personal touch to Metanoia. It is online. You know why? Because we respect you. We want you to take this journey in your space and at your pace with a Metanoia coach of your choice. The idea of removing someone from their natural environment because of their actions or behavior is what is done to criminals who are serving a sentence decided by a court of law. You are not a criminal. No, you are a person. And we respect that, made in the image of God. Again, thank you for your commitment to Metanoia. Please complete the reinforcement that follows, and that will allow you to proceed to the next session.